Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to do an overview of my back garden. This is our patio and our back garden, and let's start out with the triangle bed, I call it. So this is where I have my hose and I have these two black metal trellises, which I think are really nice, and they help fill up this big wall of siding that is the side of my shed. And I have two clematis that are planted here. The one on the left here has already bloomed and it looks like it's gonna bloom again. That is a Proteus. And then this is HF Young, which I just planted in April, and it's already blooming pretty well here, so it seems to be happy. And if we move down here, you can see my bird bath here. This is actually a couple of terracotta pots that are flipped upside down with a terracotta saucer and some rocks placed on top. That's a cute little place for the birds to take a bath. Now these are the Daisy May daisies from Proven Winners, and they are spectacular. They've really grown in this year. It looks like you can kind of tell where they've gotten more sun on the left side here, because that's where you see more blooms. I have tried lavender in between these the last couple of years, and it just does not take here. I think it's too wet with the clay soil, and then also with the being under a bird bath, you know, lavender is gonna just naturally get a lot of water splashed on it. So I decided to try the annual salvia this year. I know I have some perennial salvia planted, but I've never tried the annual, and I've heard that that actually gives you blooms throughout the whole season rather than just like an early flush like the perennial type does. So we're gonna see how that goes. It's pretty slow growing. I mean, I got these when they were a little bitty, so they're just starting to come out with their purple color, but I do like how the purple spires kind of poke out above the daisies. I think that's really cute. And then over here, I planted these three Proven Winners Prairie Winds Cheyenne Sky Panicum here. Those are really slow to come out of the ground. I mean, we're talking even the last couple weeks of May, they've started coming out, and I know they're supposed to be sort of red tipped type of panicum, so I'm excited to see that, but I really got those because I wanted to use them for two purposes. One is to sort of block out the bottom of that foundation of that shed there, and then also to shade the bottom of the clematis, because I know they like their roots to be in the shade. So that is where we are with that. And then over here we have a tater tot arborvitae, and this one is about its third season now. I sort of planted these as anchor plants, and they really are doing a pretty good job of that, not getting too big, not staying too small. And then over here I have the pink phlox, which is a creeping phlox that's done blooming obviously, but it's just sitting there, going to be a little green tough there until the springtime again. And then over here I just had two extra Dusty Millers, so I just placed those right there, and I think it's a cute little use of this space. It's kind of an odd space in between the driveway and the retaining wall here, but you know, that's what I did with it. Made a little space for the birds to take a bath, have a drink, and then hopefully we're going to be climbing up this wall here pretty well. Okay, now we're going to take a look at this back flower bed. This is the back side of my patio. You can see the seating wall here, and this was built in about August of 23, so I didn't really plant up this bed. It was completely blank, just brown mulch. That's all there was back here. And in the beginning of 2024 is when I put a lot of the shrubs in here, some of the perennials, and just so this is like some of their third full season, I would say. And some of the, you know, I've added stuff over the last 2 years, but so let's take a closer look. So in the back, I put these Carl Forester grasses here. They're kind of smashed in there, but I'm really waiting on these three little quick fire hydrangeas to grow up and cover that white siding. For some reason, I just have this thing where I want the siding to be sort of blocked off. And they're getting there. This is their third full season, so looks like the one on the right is pretty much there. So those are really pretty. They start out white, they turn pink, really pretty blooms. So there's 3 of those there. And then, like I said, the Karl Forster grass, which I think I'm probably going to move that out of there the end of this year, but it was sort of just a filler plant to give some movement when the wind blows and stuff like that. And then down here, for some winter interest, I have some baby gem boxwoods, which really are getting taken over by the hydrangeas. Now, they look fine there in the wintertime because the hydrangeas don't have any leaves, but you know, those may need to be moved forward or moved out of there. We're just going to have to kind of see. And then each corner I have another one of those tater tot arborvitae, and those are doing well. The right side of this bed is actually very shady for the most part of the day. This is a south-facing bed, but there is a lot of buildings around. There's a garage behind me. There's a fence on the left, a building on the right. You know, it's pretty much blocked over here on the right, except for the very end of the day, you get some sun. The left part, though, I would say, is a lot of full sun. So I sort of have tried to plant with keeping that in mind. Then over here in the shady part, I have a pulmonaria. I have a Jack Frost Brennera, which did really well. It's really happy in this space. The blooms were really pretty. One of the first things to bloom in the garden. I have a wild berry heuchera, which seems a little smaller than it did last year, so I'm not sure how long that's going to be around. And then there's a Lenten rose back there. That's an autumn frost hosta. We have a couple Patriot hosta. You can see that white variegation. Those are getting buried by the Brennera, so those are going to need to move in the fall. There's a blue mouse ears hosta, which is really cute. And then this is another one of the miniature hosta, which is tucked down in there. I think I'm going to move him out a little bit closer to the area where you can see him. I've had to keep him covered with these Dollar Tree upside down baskets just to keep, you know, the rabbits or whoever wants to take a little snack off of those. Okay, and then in the middle here, I lined the edge of this retaining wall with the Everest Carex. It's that spiky grassy texture, just to soften up the edge of this concrete a little bit. I like the white variegation on that variety. And then I just added some extra Dusty Miller I had in between, which actually I like the pop of that bright white there. And I also like to use the Dusty Miller in small flower arrangements. It lasts forever in a vase, so that's pretty nice. Then we have this little bird bath here, and I can't see them that well because they're not blooming, but those are some early bird fizzy dianthus from Monrovia. And then these 3 purple are the cat's pajama nepeta, which is an amazing perennial. I mean, those things die back to the ground. I think I stepped on the one on the right and it still came back beautifully. The bees are always on these all day long. There's even a little bumblebee right there. I don't know if you can see him moving right there underneath. There he is. So those will need to be cut back eventually. And then this is some pink veronica. You can kind of see a couple of the blooms left over there. That's about done blooming, and I've cut back most of the spires there. And then I have 2 of the Prairie Splendor Rose compact coneflowers. These were the Lowe's house brand. This is their 2nd season. They seem to be doing pretty well. The one on the right does not get as much sun, and it seems like these are flopping in the evening, like after a day in the sun, but then in the morning I come out here and they're perked back up just fine. So I don't know if it's a watering issue, but they've been in here for, you know, over a year, so not sure what that's all about. But anyway, and those have actually self-seeded a little bit. You can see down there, I've left a couple of the seedlings go just to see, you know, how big they get this year and that kind of thing. Okay, then over to this side, we have the Autumn Joy sedum. So those are two plants that are just putting on some buds now, and those will bloom a little bit later in the summer. Behind them is a variegated iris, which is a really pretty purple blue color, but I really like the variegated leaves that just kind of hang out there throughout the rest of the summer. Those look pretty great. And then that is a Ariel pink candy tuft that bloomed really well. Behind it, you can see sort of the yellower leaves. That was a white candy tuft that bloomed excellent. The very first thing to come out in the spring was that white candy tuft. So I really enjoyed that, and I was happy to find the pink and kind of mix those two together. And then we've got here a Little Lamb Stackies, which seems to be a little yellow in the middle. I'm not sure if that's a water thing, but that is definitely blooming right now. And we have a Baby Elizabeth rose. I thought to myself, what is a cottage garden without some kind of rose? And then I saw these baby roses at Menards for about $4. It's not blooming right now, so it's not very exciting to look at, but that's a fun one to have. And then this is the Proven Winners Firefly Fuchsia yarrow, and that is just starting to bud out. It's a much deeper pink than in person than it is on the screen here, but that is going to be beautiful when it blooms out. And that foliage at the bottom pretty much stayed evergreen through the winter, so that was kind of nice surprise. I wasn't sure what to expect with that plant. This is its second year. And then back here, I'm working on this project down here. I have a trellis back there that I think I'm going to grow another clematis on it, and some random plants, and a lot of weeds. So that's a project that I'm going to be working on soon. Back here we have a couple of the Indiglo salvia, which are completely done blooming. There may be a couple little purple leaves left, but those are due for a cutback. Now these two were planted at the same time, and I have no idea why that one on the right is so small. So that may be either moving or going to another home. And I'm trying to build sort of a block to block that. If you can see, we have a downspout and like a drainage pipe there, so I'm trying to add some evergreen things that'll sort of block that out. So I picked the Golden Globe arborvitae right there. That was planted this season, and then that reddish darker tone is a Nandina. And back behind it I found a Baptisia, the purple one from Proven Winners, and that one was on clearance at Lowe's, which I love the clearance stuff at Lowe's. So I'm excited to get that in the ground. Another thing that's going on is the gutter is leaking in that area, so it's washing away all of my mulch down this sort of slope here. So I'm kind of working on that to see what can be done about that. And then I have an arborvitae back there, and that's purpose there is to kind of cover that downspout. So we'll see how that goes. I know that's probably a little bit of a slow grower. So that is a tour of the back garden and the triangle garden. So next up we're going to do a video about all my containers and what I've planted in them, all the annuals. So definitely stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.